'88, I was probably just about discovering the hardcore scene then. I mean, there was a group over here called Spiral Tribe Travellers who used to, you know, raid people's fields and set up tents and sound systems, and that was the first, you know, my introduction to hardcore was Spiral Tribe, basically, in a field with loads of people off their heads on the, and you know. Before that I was a hip-hop boy. That's all that powered me was hip-hop.
For me, the big thing about drum and bass is the fact that it is, to me, a parallel to hip-hop. The fact that when hip-hop started, it was 2 turntables and a mic, and it was the fact that it was something brand new, and there was an ocean of potential, because rock and roll is tired, you know, they keep regurgitating the old things, and you just need every now and again just to close the door and to look into a wide space and go, oh wow, this is the potential. So you start off with a Planet Rock, and then you get a, you know, then you get, I don't know, you get a Tribe Called Quest, and then you can get a Wu-Tang Clan, you know, things develop, you know, and with drum and bass, to me it's the same thing. It's early days really, we're just 5 or 6 years into it.
First original, they used to call it like bonehead music. When I used to work at City Sounds, they used to call me Ray Bonehead because it was so intense. And then it came up with like great hardcore. No, it started off as hardcore, and then after hardcore, we started calling it jungle. And jungle stayed with the scene for a long time. And then it went into like, you know, dark, do you know what I mean? And then it kind of went into jump up and drum and bass, and now the new term for it is jungle stroke drum and bass.
I would say it's a music to express the times we're living in right now.
I think it's just music of today, but it can be listened, you know, any time. It's like when Goldie called his album Timeless. It's kind of summed it up really, hasn't it, in one word. Any time, it doesn't matter. I mean, we still listen to 70s music now.
I mean, I see dance music, the whole scene, as a train journey back from the 70s and 80s. There's this one journey, and there's trains going down these tracks, and every couple of years it stops. And it's all one music. It's all back from funk, from jazz, going to electro, going to hip-hop, going to disco music, going to house music, going to rave music, and every now and again one of these music springs off and creates a little scene. Some of them grow massive and others stay small and have their small followers. So of course drum and bass is at the front of that train at the moment. Well, I mean, my influences really start from people like Marvin Gaye, Herbie Hancock, Yellow Jackets, Bob James, more of a sort of jazz, funk, fusion and soul-based background.
The inspiration for me was just really I heard some things that were so different from what I'd heard before, and that's what inspired me, do you know what I mean, rather than one person.
My dad used to listen to Studio One reggae, his sisters grew up listening to soul, a lot of rare groove.
It was for me when I was at school and I was just listening to, I was in the whole rave scene and the hip-hop early scene, and it was difficult really because I was like 14, 15 and I couldn't get into clubs because I was too small.
In terms of really getting into the music, it was the whole sort of breakdance era that really kind of intensified the whole feeling.
I don't know, it was just like reggae artists I was into, like Dennis Brown, Frankie Paul, like there's just loads of them, you know. And then like hip hop was Mantronics, a lot of like Big Daddy Kane and stuff like that, you know. I was into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Ultramagnetic MCs is like one of my all-time favourites. I mean, from way back in the day.
See, for me, my influences are from like people like The Clash and James Brown, and it's all fucked up, it's all mixed up, you know what I mean? But these are people that I've grown with.
I like a lot of the 70s jazz, psychedelic jazz, and funk, like Funkadelic. Yeah, and Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, all those kind of people.
I wasn't really even listening to the vocals or anything like that. It was just the beats I was into.
They like all kinds of music for all kinds of reasons. They listen to sounds, you know, they're not biased towards something. If they hear an old Annie Lennox track and there's a good vocal part, they'll use it. if they hear a bit of Sun Ra and they like that kind of weird electronic keyboard he used in 1968, they'll use it. You know, they're not kind of, oh, that's jazz, we're not going to use that. They're very open-minded musically, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, as I say, that train, we've got all those carriages behind us to go through and look at and just pull out what we want.
The whole music moves. It moves at such a fast pace. You know, it really does, because evolution is such a main ingredient of drum and bass, which is what keeps it fresh, which is what keeps it interesting.
People that are into our music and, you know, buy our music, you know, whatever they're doing around our music, they kind of feel the vibe of us as people, because when we're making the music, that's our soul coming out of us. You know, and it's kind of jumping out onto vinyl, so you can listen to what's inside of R2 Headz.
It's the first British music since punk, which has got an identity, really. I mean, if you ask anyone about drum and bass, they immediately say England or London or Bristol or wherever. So it's the first music since punk to have its home in the UK, which is something that we're proud to be involved in, really. So it's good as a movement that we can all look back in 30 years, whatever, and say we started something.
On one hand, it's brilliant because you can go and do it in your bedroom, and, you know, the real dons will come through with their own sounds, and therefore they will be at the forefront of it. But the scene does need the four heroes to come along and to take the level to that higher point, and the same with Groove Rider and with Goldie and with Ronnie Size and with DJ Crust and Dylan J. Vaughan. So they're all waiting for the next man to kind of go one step further, and that's the great thing about that scene.
You've got people like, as you said, you've got called Digital Ed Rush and all those people that are, and Dillinger, that are real bass scientists, you can call them, that are pushing the boundary forwards when it comes to mutating bass sounds.
This is one of the finished breaks that I've been working on.
He's out there on his own, man. He's got his own sound. It's constant inspiration. And the thing, he never likes any of his tunes. You ask anybody and they're like, I can't understand it, because he never likes any of his records.
I find when I do a track, maybe I don't never put all my will into a track. I don't think I've ever done that yet. What I do, I might get like the breaks done and certain parts of the track that I really like done, and then I just fill up the rest of the track with sounds that's similar to what I want.
You can hear a Dillinger tune within the first 4 bars. You're like, that's Carl. You just know.
Is it the bass?
I mean, it's these beats. Before his bass even drops, you know it's Carl.
In there right now is just a kick, just all in there right now.
You've got Carl, you know what I mean, he's knocking out some really fat tunes, the things that he's doing with bass lines, you understand, you know, he's coming with just like totally unique styles. And, you know, he's trying, you know, I can't hear him, I mean, copying anyone at all, you know, it's like he's on his own, he's doing his own thing, you know, and it's like he's creating his own sound and he's going his own direction.
There's different techniques of distorting your bass. You can do it live, you can... That's just the bass flat kick, and then like you can. There's loads of ways to do it. You can just you can double it up and distort another extra bass line track in it. You get a lot of hiss, but it keeps it raw. When it comes in, it's like an atmosphere to it. There's different ways you can do it. That's the way I'm doing it today. Wow. There's loads of ways you can get that distorted sort of feel.
The first time I met Dillinger, he started talking to me about hertz and frequencies, and I was like, oh man, this guy knows his bass. You know, he's into it for like serious, you know.
Carl's the worst one. He's got tannoys, but his tannoys go lower than my ones, and several council letters.
My biggest influence is Dillinger, really. Dillinger's a very powerful artist, very quiet but very powerful artist. I mean,
this whole. It's a bit of a demon around with music. When Carl really could take any dance floor apart, and has done for many, many years.